Welcome to Beyond the Strikes, and I'm delighted to say we're joined by your new favourite fighter, Chelsea Tiny Tank Connor. Chelsea, how are you doing, my friend?
Thank you for having me. I am doing excellent. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. And firstly, congratulations on your LFA 180 win. Really tough opponent in Rosales. What are your thoughts on the fight?
Um, I I thought the fight was really good. We both kind of brought out the best of each other. She was really tough. We knew she was going to be durable. But we just felt like we kind of had the skill set a little bit higher than hers. So we were able to get the win. And yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it really was awesome. It was definitely my fight of the night. Did it officially get given fight of the night?
So it was kind of weird because they did like voting and it looked like we won fight of the night and then we didn't get fight of the night. So I don't know. I think the fans agreed that it was fight of the night, but for whatever reason we didn't end up winning actual fight of the night. But yeah, I think everyone there, everyone that saw it, they know that that was definitely the fight of the night.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know if you've watched it back with the commentary, but the commentators were like everyone was on their feet. It was brilliant. I'd go as far as saying it was one of my favorite fights of the year so far. It
Oh,
was
thank you.
it was brilliant. And do you know what? You've been involved in some really great fights. There was a notable one against Eileen Pereira, whose
Yes.
brother Alex headlined UFC
Yeah.
300. Yeah, did you watch it at the weekend?
I did. Oh my gosh, I said that was the most like gangster thing I've ever seen in a fight with Alex Pereira. That was so cool. Yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah, the way you kind of just pushed away and then finished,
Yeah.
it was incredible. I think it was one of those events where every fight seemed to kind of top each other. It was just brilliant. I was thinking after
Yes.
the Yuri fight, that was just incredible. And then it kind of
Yeah.
went to Max, who was just absolutely amazing, and then Alex. Yeah, it was brilliant. And there
Yes.
was there was a few former LFA fighters on the card,
Yeah.
Alex Pereira being one of them. What's your ultimate
Yeah.
ambition for the next few years? And kind of does it inspire you seeing these fighters fighting in the UFC from LFA?
Yeah, it's definitely inspiring for sure. So the goal is by the end of this year to be in the UFC. So we're right on track. And I just found out they are doing a show in Louisville, Kentucky, June 8th. So I'm trying to like get some hype build up. Maybe they can put me on the prelims there. So that would be super awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And your 180 win, it puts you on a two-fight win streak. So in terms of early discussions about when you'll be back in the cage, you mentioned that one. Has there been any conversations with your management with the company about who or when, other than that one?
Yes, so we were actually hoping after this last one to fight again the end of this month or beginning of May. But I broke my knuckle in the fight, so I gotta let that heal up. So I won't be fighting then. But we have a fight show actually that we're putting on. It's called Ego Fight Series. And I'm supposed to be main event of that. That's going to be June 15th here in Troy, Ohio. So I'll fight in that. But if the UFC wants me before that, I will definitely be there June 8th, there in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah, well, that sounds awesome. That really does sound great headlining. So, is that your local? Would that classify as like a home turf fight for you?
Yes, and that'll be the first time that I've ever gotten to fight in my backyard. So
Wow.
I'm super excited for it. I 100% believe I'll sell out the entire venue. So it should be really awesome.
Yeah, well, the fans will be in for a treat. If it's anything like your previous fight,
Yes.
then I think tickets will sell out very, very quickly. And have you always grown up there?
So I grew up, yeah, in this area, not originally from Piqua. I'm about 30 minutes kind of north
Mhm.
of Piqua. Yeah.
Nice. And going right back to the start, what originally attracted you to kind of get into combat sports?
So growing up, me and my sisters, we grew up on a horse farm and we were just kind of some tough little country girls out there, like we would fight each other all the time. And then my dad, he was kind of just a bar fighter, always
Okay.
getting into fights. And my uncle, he did karate and just carried himself so much differently. And I always kind of idolized, how my
Mhm.
uncle carried himself. And I was like, man, I really want to do, something like he's doing. I didn't know whether it was karate or what it was. I just knew I wanted to be disciplined like him. And so I tried to join the Marine Corps right out of high school. I had a weight issue, so I couldn't join the Marines. And that's when I just turned to fighting. And I was like, as soon as I went to my first gym and got punched in the face, I knew it was exactly what I wanted to do.
I love that. It's so good. And for like younger generations who are looking to get into combat sports, do you have any advice for them? Because I know like nowadays it's really like in London it's getting bigger and bigger, and in Europe you can see the growth in France. So it's a lot easier to find like an MMA gym. But do you have any advice for anyone who's looking to get into it?
Yeah, absolutely. Find a good gym. Uh, just be willing to listen and not be a know-it-all. I own my own gym. So I get a lot of people coming in that have grown up watching the UFC on TV. I didn't grow up watching the UFC. I just grew up fighting myself, So
Mhm.
it's one of those things, we get a lot of young kids coming in that they think they already know how to do everything and they don't understand how crucial the basic fundamentals are. So my advice to anyone starting is slow down, make sure you take time to learn the fundamentals. They will take you a very long way if you can just slow down.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant advice. And so you mentioned you didn't originally grow up watching the UFC. Can you remember the
Yeah.
first fight that you watched?
Oh, very first. I know I had watched other fights. I watched Christina Cyborg quite a bit.
Mhm.
Um, but I can't remember the very first fight. Maybe it was like the Misha Tate Ronda Rousey fight was
Yeah.
probably one of the very first fights that I really really remember making it like an event to watch. Like I said, I
Mhm.
know I've watched other fights before that, but it was like a big event, you bought the pay-per-view, you had a little house party type thing. So yeah, it was the Misha Tate Ronda Rousey fight.
Yeah, I think that time is one of my favorite eras actually of UFC around there. And I think people forget how huge Ronda Rousey was and how influential she was
Yes.
in just the kind of propelling the sport like further to the
Mhm.
mainstream.
Yes. Yeah. And when she first hit the scene, I could not stand her. I was like, so totally not because I'm not a shit talker. I don't like that. And that's just how she presented herself. And I was like, oh, I did not like her. Um, Now her starting to kind of like open up. I adore Ronda Rousey and
Mhm.
I just think she's awesome. And I just really appreciate her being so open and being able to explain why she did the things that she did. Obviously it was for, people like myself and all of the younger generations of females trying to come up in the sport. She was yeah, hands down, I would say one of the most influential women in the sport for sure.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. I love that you've been on a narrative arc with Ronda Rousey and kind of gone through the different stages of emotions. With I'm sure a lot of people have been
Yeah.
really similar narrative arcs
Yes.
to that one. On this show, we absolutely love fighter nicknames, and you've got a brilliant one, Tiny Tank. What's the story behind that one?
So I was fighting for King of the Cage, and the commentators were trying to call me the Tiny Tornado, and I just thought, no, I can't be. Tisha Torres is the Tiny Tornado. I am not going to be one to steal someone's nickname. So I didn't like it, and I was just like, whatever, they can call me whatever. And then I had a fan actually reach out to me, and he was like, hey. They're trying to call you the Tiny Tornado. They should really be calling you the Tiny Tank, your fighting style. I'm like, I love that. And I don't know anyone else that has that nickname. So I was like, we're running with that.
That is brilliant. So it's actually a fan who got in contact with
Yeah.
you. Did you know the fan
Yes.
before? Was it a
I
friend?
didn't. No. Nope.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
I feel like reaching out to all of the fighters that don't have like nicknames and just coming up with suggestions.
you're
Um,
right. You
yeah,
should.
I'm gonna. That's brilliant. Yeah, I love it, and it's very really like well suited. It's a really good
Yes.
nickname as well. Away from MMA, what do you spend your time doing?
So I'm a mom of two, so I have a lot of mom responsibilities.
Hmm.
So a lot of just spending time with my kids, making sure they're where they need to be. As far as like hobbies and things like that, I like being outdoors. I like hunting. Just I'm an outdoorsy type person. So yeah, if I can find time outdoors, that's where I like to be.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you find the balance? Because I've got a daughter, so she's just coming up to 4 now. Like absolutely amazing, full of energy. It's hard
Mhm.
balancing like work life and parenthood. And you're in an industry where it demands so much of you. How do you kind of balance that time?
Ooh, it gets trying at times. I have a great support system. That's really how I do it. Is my support system helps me out a ton. They know when I'm in fight camp, when I'm not in fight camp, I can take more roles on. But
Hmm.
when I'm in fight camp, everyone knows like, hey, we got to pick up all the slack, you know? So my support system is really how I do it. And I make sure that I just take time for myself, to get away, not be talked to, just seclude myself. So then I can come and be who I like to be, but I need my alone time as well.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. And then in terms of I love asking fighters about the mental aspect of sport because I'm like really into kind of sports psychology and that side. How much time do you spend on the mental side versus the physical side of sport?
So I wake up every morning and I do 20 minutes of meditation. Every single morning I make sure I set 20 minutes aside. And then after that 20 minutes I go for a 30-minute jog. And
Hmm.
that's huge for my mental. I grew up running cross country and track, so I just that run for me it just does something to my mind. So those, I mean, I spend almost a little over an hour every day, making sure that's how I start my morning, just to get my mental focus the way that it needs to be.
Yeah, yeah, and it explains a lot about when we see you going into those third rounds, how you've
Yeah.
still got so much energy if you're doing all of that.
Yes.
Excellent. We love a hypothetical question, so we've got one that's a bit random for you. And you've been booked for a talent show, but you can't showcase MMA. What would you do?
Oh my goodness, so crazy you ask. I would so it's kind of funny. I grew up doing like rave type glow sticks. Have you ever seen
I
like people do glow
have.
sticks?
Yep.
So I grew up doing that, and always for our school talent shows, I would do a dance with glow sticks. So that's what I would do for my talent show.
You can never predict what someone's going to say to that. I would never have predicted that, but it sounds brilliant. Kind of sounds like the 90s Manchester rave
Yeah.
culture with the glow stick. So, yeah, sounds
Yes.
brilliant. Awesome. Well, honestly, it's been really great catching up with you today. Thank you so much for your time. The fight was brilliant. We can't wait to see you back in the cage again. We'll be supporting from London. We have
Thank
one
you.
final question. And that's around merch. Do you have merch? And if so, where can fans get it from?
So I just found out yesterday, I just picked up a massive sponsor through Rudis. So that's a wrestling. I don't know if they're nationwide yet, but they're very popular in the US. They're wrestling based. So I just picked them up and they are going to be doing all my shirts and merchandise through them. So very soon I will be releasing that, and we have new Tiny Tank Army t-shirts that everyone's going to be able to get, but it'll all be through Rudis. So it'll be simple and easy to be able to get.
Sounds amazing. We'll keep an eye out for that on social media. But yeah, have a brilliant rest of the day and catch up again soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.